Hi guys, my name is Ali. I'm going to perform my weekly chart analysis on the US stock market. Before we get started, just a small disclaimer. Okay. Now if we jump in and if we look at the NASDAQ weekly chart, well, actually, let me first look at the uh, economic calendar for the week to see what's going on. So this week is going to be quite interesting. Um, we have an FOMC meeting coming up on Wednesday, where it is a very high probability that there is going to be an additional interest rate hike. According to investing.com, it's currently suggesting that uh, the previous and the forecast, right? So the previous rate for FOMC is, well, the current rate is 1.75, and they're, investing.com is suggesting that there has a high probability of a 0.75 rate hike. Okay? Some other major events that are going on this week is the new home sales data on Tuesday. So I look at, you know, um, items that are 3 stars. That's usually what I try to go for. So we have consumer confidence, new home sales on Tuesday, um, durable goods, pending home sales, and crude oil on Wednesday, along with the FOMC. Then Thursday, we have GDP numbers and initial jobless claims. And Friday, we have the PPE, PCE, and yeah, some speculative positions that are going to be the numbers for that is going to be released as well. So, from an economic perspective, it's going to be a very interesting week, nonetheless. And I think it's going to be volatile just based on the events that are coming up. From an earnings perspective, it should be a very interesting week as well. So I like to sort by the market capital. So that way I'm seeing the largest companies on the top, right, to help reduce some noise. Um, so I guess we have some banks that are going to be reporting. Um, Vodafone Group. Uh, let's try to find some big guys. Okay, Visa. This should be interesting, right? Louis Vuitton. So some of these names they help you understand how the market is reacting. So if Visa has, for instance, um, a higher default rate, right? Uh, that would mean that um, the consumer is defaulting at a higher rate, right? Or if the credit card balances go up, then again, the consumer is running out of cash, for instance, right? Same thing with Louis Vuitton. This is a luxury item, so if their sales drop, that means that the consumer is spending less on luxury, which is affecting them, right? Um, and other than that, we have some interesting ones. Texas Instruments, right? Raytheon. So these are going to be big. 3M, right? Walmart. I saw Walmart here somewhere. Walmart. What else? So it's going to be quite an interesting week from the perspective of earnings as well, right? We have some big tech names, right? You have Meta, Facebook, T-Mobile. So a lot of earnings, a lot of volatility. Um, ExxonMobil, Chevron. So it's going to be a crazy week, right? So that is from an economic and earnings perspective. Now let's jump into the technicals. So last week was overall extremely strong week. I was wrong. Uh, my expectation was that once we hit um, 12,080, we were going to go back. We didn't. So with that, I essentially started dollar cost averaging my short positions, right? And fortunately, on Friday, late Friday, um, we got a reasonable size pullback, right? We dropped from 12.7 all the way down to 12.350. So that's, a very reasonable size drop. Um, so that helped me a lot last week. Uh, but I'm still sitting on my short positions, and I am hoping that this week, right, from a technical perspective, you'll notice that on the weekly chart, uh, we had a strong resistance that was formed at approximately 12,164, and last week we broke through that resistance. My expectation is that sometime throughout the week, we will go test this point, 12164. So I am planning to sit in my short positions at least until here. And at this point, I will start um, reducing my position on the short side, right? And start recognizing some profits for some of the positions that I sold up top over here. As well as obviously it'll have a dollar cost effect. Uh, if I start looking at other time frames, so I like to look at multiple different time frames to understand support resistance at various levels. Okay, so if I look at the daily, um, this was the approximate area, right? But at the same time, I see multiple moving averages here. Okay, so I think I would like to raise this to be at this level. Um, if I go to the 2-day, okay, the 2-day is quite interesting. It looks like it's forming a head and shoulder pattern, right? So I think it'll be worthwhile to put something at this point, which is approximately 12,550. So I'm going to say 12,550 to send me an alert. And the reason I'm doing slightly above is because I want to get notified if it crosses this level, right? Um, because this will help me understand if we are continuing to go up, or are we going to be dropping? Uh, so, oh, this is interesting. If I can delete this guy because it's repetitive, right? We'll remove that drawing. Um, so from the 2-day perspective, you'll notice that this blue line here, as we were coming down, it was resistance. Um, Last week we broke through this resistance, but then we immediately dropped back in. I think that for this week we would have a high probability of testing this resistance, or coming somewhat close to it, right? What else? What else? So I'm gonna leave that there. The 3-day. Um, so this is interesting, right? It seems like it's forming a rising wedge pattern, which has a bullish move, but then it eventually drops, right? That 4-hour and the 6 hours, small time frames. Okay, so the 4-hour is below the blue line, um, which is a good thing for me at least, right? Because again, I'm sitting in short positions. One thing though, I noticed on the weekly, if I come back to it, uh, the weekly has opened, um, with a high base pattern, right? Uh, But the resistance would probably at this 12839 area or 14,000 is too high. Um, 2 day. So we have to get through this chop, right? This massive drop. We have to get through it in order to get higher. But essentially what's going to happen is every time we get up to a certain point, um, there should be a break and an immediate fallback, right? So I think I would want to create a similar alert here and maybe put in 850, right? Because I think that's where another break would be. So overall, based on that, um, if I say, and obviously, I have these lines drawn as well that are going sideways up. Um, this is, for the past few weeks that now has been updated to reflect last week's. Okay. So based on that, if I come to my mm, if I come to my weekly analysis, right? We closed the week at 12429. I think the high of the week, should, in my opinion, I don't think we should go across 12900 area because of FOMC and just overall a lot of volatility and the massive resistance zone that is sitting here. Okay? And I think from a down perspective, so up targets, it would be 1, 2, 900, or more like the 1, 2, 850 to 9. And then from the down target perspective, so if we come back to our chart, right? These were some of the targets that were created. I don't know if we'll get all the way down to 11.8, but I think there is that probability. Because if you look at it, we have been in a channel, right, for the past several weeks that we have been respecting. And for this week, this channel comes all the way down to this 12800 mark. If that does happen, then we would get a lower low on the weekly, which would be a bearish sign, right? But of course, if we get down there, it depends how what happens. Do we drop like this, and it's a solid red, versus we drop and then we have a massive rally, the way we had 2 weeks ago. Okay? So just have to monitor and keep an eye on that. So my down targets are, I think this 12164 has a very high probability. So I'm going to document this one. When I come to my daily chart, currently the support has been this blue line, right? Which you'll notice is also kind of the middle of this channel that's being drawn out. Okay? And just so happens that it crosses at the same point. So I think 12,000 would also be a reasonable target. And then, this 11.8. So just going to enter that note in as well. Okay. And to update these guys, if we cross this 12850, I want to buy more SPPQ to DCA my position. Okay. Um, and I'll probably close TQQQ positions at 12160. I want to DCA close SQP longs. DCA close TQQ positions, TQQ covered calls, and I don't have any of the SOXO calls. Yes, probably close some of those guys out as well. Uh, and then here I'm going to say DCA by TQQ, right? So I think I can start buying here as well. We hit 12,000. I would more or less repeat the same. And we end up hitting 11.8, right? So at 12,160 and at 12,000, if I buy TQQQ, I would probably sell out of the money. If I buy at 11.8, I would do no covered call on it, just ride this position as a long. Okay? Because overall, um, I do have a bullish view that for the quarter we're going to hit 35 plus. Okay? Um, SOXO, I'm actually curious about this. So CHIPS Act 2022. Okay, so it passed the Senate, and now it'll continue on to its life. This is overall good news for SOXO, right? So you say pass the Senate in order to keep this note. Come back to the chart, look at the stocks, same thing. We'll start with the weekly. So it's very bullish, right? Similar to the Nasdaq. Uh, so okay, so we had a gap down, and now we close this gap, right? Um, I think this is going to be a little hard to analyze because there is uh, regulatory, there's a stimulus, right? That's going to be passed for this, or is in progress of being passed. So with that, I would assume that there is more of a bullish sentiment towards the semiconductors sector. Yeah. But alternatively, we've had a very reasonable size move. So I think, somewhat of pullback can be expected, especially if we get high volatility in the NASDAQ, as well as some of the earnings that are coming out this week, right? That we saw on the investing.com website. With that said, this blue line, was previously resistance. We broke it, held as support, and then it rallied. So I think, it's safe to assume that we should, come back to retest, right, the blue line. Though, if we continue to go sideways, then this moving average will just continue to move upwards towards it, right? If we look at some of the other time frames, okay, so the 2-day, right, it's currently a high base, but this was resistance. We broke through it, so I think that we should do some type of pullback to some point or another to test and confirm the upward move, right? So to potentially come to this 2740 as a confirmation. For the 4-day, yeah. So the 4-day, this is interesting because in March, on the 4-day, we crossed the 20 moving. So the blue line is the 20 moving, right? And again, right now, when we tried to cross it, we immediately came back and closed under them. So I guess it's doing the confirmation at this point, and we will need to see, how it turns out. Right? So based on that, I can start putting some alerts. Okay, I think this should be an alert right here. So again, I like to create these alerts because then it sends me a notification on, when I need to take action, right? And I'm actually going to create a note here to say sell SOXO long positions. So when I get the notification, I'm also told what to do. Okay. So yeah, I don't think we're just going to shatter the 20 moving as quickly, especially because we've had a significant size move. But if the CHIPS Act passes, then the probability of the move would be there, right? To just literally shoot up. So you know what? Maybe I won't sell my longs, and instead I'll try to find places to go long, right? Uh, so I would definitely want to go long here. Just gonna enter this for now, so it shows up, and then adjust it to be. Okay, so it seems like we had a gap up, so we closed here, and we opened here. Uh, so I think the probability of us coming to retest this area during the week is going to be high. Um, so I think here as well, I will, try to go long, right? And I just want to document this one time as well. Um, so socks closed the week at 2842. Okay, and I'm thinking we're gonna hit this 2688 and 2582 area. So um, 2582. I'm just gonna use this note here. Okay. Um, and if I put this in, so again, I don't think we're just gonna shatter this guy, immediately. So I'm gonna put in this 2970, and on the bottom, put in my first target. Okay. So Soxal, it closed at 17.29. So I'll update this to 17.29. So the expected move, uh, I think this is what we are going to hit for the week. And then this is what my plan is going to be for the SLX position. All right. Thank you for your time, guys. Remember, this video is being shared for educational and entertainment purposes only. Enjoy your week and good luck trading.